instead of just like watching videos of, are you going through a spiritual awakening? Do you have these and these symptoms? Which is of course very important, but no one really told me what to do after that. If I would have had those tools, it would have spared me a lot of time and a lot of suffering.
Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I'll take you to a very special place for me, and I'll share with you something that I wish someone would have told me when I was going through my spiritual awakening. Morning, everyone. This morning I am taking you with me on a little hike to a place that is very special to me, that is very dear to me, and that has been this space in these years for me whenever I have felt the need of going inside and reflecting on important things, or even in moments in which I have felt that I've been in a little bit of a crisis. And so it's very special for me to bring you to this place today. This is a Celastrina, the little blue butterfly that is the name that I have. And they are very active now in August. And it's so nice to meet them everywhere. Goodbye. This is so peaceful. It's been some time now since I've not come here. The last time I was here, I did a really powerful dreaming exercise, because in my community, it's very much evolved around the spiritual path, around the spiritual discipline, but it gives you a lot of freedom in choosing let's say, how to direct your energies and which path to really research, because the idea is that even though we keep a discipline, and I think that discipline is so important, this is something that I've learned a little bit now in this part of my life, later in my life, that it's only through really daring to take the responsibility for every action and everything in our lives that we can really arrive to a true sense of freedom. And so discipline is really taking that kind of responsibility of pushing yourself to do something that you know is important for you, even though sometimes it feels challenging to keep that consistency, to keep that discipline, but you know that it's allowing you to move forward, and that really, in the end, is the only thing that allows you to reach true freedom, a concept that I was so afraid of before coming here, and I think has been a theme in my life in general, the concept of freedom. I've always sought freedom in every kind of sense, but I think that being so conditioned about what freedom was, I was so afraid of taking responsibility, because for me, at when I was younger, freedom was really to just go around, do whatever you wanted, not being dependent on anyone or anything, and yeah, just having no ties. And I think that that is a little bit a myth about freedom in our society today, and I think that that becomes very dangerous because that lack of responsibility, that lack of direction, that just moving around without a sense of purpose, that actually something that blocks us and limits us from really reaching and finding true freedom. And so what I'm saying is that in the path that I'm in, our discipline, there's still the opportunity to choose where to direct your energies and to understand how you express your relationship to your spirituality, how you grow personally. And for me, that is through dreaming. I've always been very much a dreamer ever since I was a child, and since I came here, I have really been able to deepen that art of dreaming, as it's called in many ancient traditions and cultures. And especially my specialty is lucid dreaming. And so this exercise, the last time that I was here, that I did, is an exercise to enter into the field of dreaming from being awake. And that is so powerful, especially when done in nature. It allows us to really understand that this too is a dream, because it is. The Australian Aborigines, the indigenous people from Australia, they call this the dream. They say that this reality is the real dream, and they keep this reality up through singing, which goes back also connecting to the Vedic scriptures and to almost all ancient cultures and religions, where they say that in the beginning there is just sound, and that is the sound and the frequency that creates the whole of creation, which is also what has been shown now in quantum physics. That is this geometry of sound that is the base of our universe. It's only energy, it's only frequency. And so this exercise really allows you to take down the curtain, the veil between these two dimensions of dream and of awake time, to allow you to really feel and understand that this too is a dream. And when you have that key, you can really make whatever you want with it, because it's not lucid dreaming anymore, but it's lucid living. And it's wonderful doing these kind of spiritual exercises in nature, because everything responds to you like instantly. There's no interference whatsoever. And so I wanted to bring you here today because there's many people who have asked me to speak about my spiritual awakening, about spirituality in general. This channel has mainly been focused on intentional community and eco-villages, which I think is a huge part of the revolution that is needed now in society. I really think that there is this human archetype of living together that has gone lost, and that we need to get back to a sense of tribe, to a sense of community, to a sense of living and doing things together, moving together as a collective and not as single individuals anymore. And so the channel will for sure continue on that track, but I also think that they are not very disconnected, the spiritual sense and the awakening that I see that is going on now in humanity. And there are many people who have asked me to speak about my spiritual awakening and to speak about spirituality, I think in general. And so I know I was actually recording my first podcast episode that is with me, allowing you to get to know me a little better, and the story of how I arrived here and the ups and downs of my path in my spiritual awakening. But when I edited the video, I saw that the sound was off in some parts, and since I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, I didn't like that at all. And so now I have set up a new time to record it again. And this is also something that I have been struggling with, and that I know that many creators struggle with, and that is the sense of perfection and the fact of knowing that things can always be better, but that sometimes limits you from even getting your things out. And so allowing myself to just ride on the wave of imperfection and seeing the beauty in imperfection and seeing the beauty in the journey of learning an art like content creation or video making, and all of these things is really something that I am working on a lot. And just the fact of creating this video was a huge step for me, and even just allowing myself to be in that imperfect space. And I think that is something that I will work with for a long time, and I actually sense a huge sense of freedom in that, because I don't know, it's just this feeling of not caring too much and being careless, being like a child, and just accepting and loving that kind of imperfection in myself and getting things out there anyways. And there's the founder of my community had something that I really, really go by. He said, it's true what works. And that's true. If it works, it's true. If it doesn't work, it's not true. And that is also very personal. If it works for you, it's true for you. If it doesn't work for others, then that's okay too. So I will get out with my first episode of the podcast, but I wanted just to start to demystify something, and something that I really had wished that I had come across when I had my spiritual awakening, because when I had my spiritual awakening, I was extremely alone in that. And I think that the only friend that I could connect with at the time was YouTube. So thank you, YouTube, for that. And thank you for all the creators out there that have already done such a good work in speaking about this kind of stuff. Because when you go through something like that and you have no one, and everyone thinks that you're crazy, and you are losing your friends, you're losing your context, you feel that nothing really is important anymore in your life, having something and someone, even that you don't know, but you feel that understands you, is so important. I think that is the blessing of internet. Really, it's such a huge thing. A huge blessing in our society today. But something that I didn't come across, I think that I was watching the whole series of spirit science in a night, and I tried to explain to my friends, trying to make them think that was really interesting. And they said, do you want me to believe this cartoon thing on YouTube? And I was like, okay, I gave up to try to create an interest in people who were not. But something that I was missing a lot, and something that I would have wished that someone told me when I was in this period of really just seeking and trying to understand what to do with all of that had happened to me, instead of just watching videos of, are you going through a spiritual awakening? Do you have these and these symptoms? Which is of course very important, but no one really told me what to do after that. And though I think that it's personal as everything in life, I also think that there are some things that can help a lot if I would have had those tools before, because it would have spared me a lot of time and a lot of suffering, I think. That is the key of action. For me, and I think for many people, when going through a spiritual awakening, the things that are being told and the things that happens naturally is a sense of slowing down, a sense of not knowing what to do with your life, and so almost a sense of being static. I have this memory of sitting in my apartment. It was winter, and I was listening to classical music and just watching the snowflakes dance down outside of my window for hours. And even though that was very meditative, I was really just hoping and feeling okay, I was buying into this thing of okay, but when I changed, the reality around me changed. But even though that I felt that I had changed inside, I was actually going around doing the same things that I did before, just feeling like an alien in those situations. And so I really had missed the key of acting on the things. So action was something that no one told me was so important, and the ingredient that actually allows the reality around you to change. And so not just sitting around meditating every day and just not understanding why this new life and these new life situations weren't arriving to me, and why I still felt stuck, even though I felt like I cannot be here in this situation anymore. But I wasn't moving. I was just sitting and meditating all day long, or like taking walks and contemplating my life. But I arrived to a certain point when that was it. I felt that, I was blocked in a certain way. And of course, you cannot meditate all the time. You need to earn a little bit of money, and so I needed to get a job. And in the everyday life, then I started coming back to context where being with my friends, I love my friends, but I still just felt like wrong, and this kind of dissonance between what I felt inside and what was happening outside of me, and the extremely slow results that I saw just made me feel trapped for such a way longer time than I think that I could have if someone had told me that, okay, yes, you changed inside, you feel the importance to go inside, to understand, to heal, to meditate, to reflect. But if you don't act, if you don't move in the physical world, things will not change. So act upon that synchronicity that is arriving, act upon that feeling or that crazy thought that pops up in your mind. Move. Like, don't stop. And that does not mean don't take time to reflect, to try to understand what is going on, because you really need that. But staying in that for too long, we need to understand that the environment in which we are in is really affecting us, and that have been shown also scientifically, that we are constantly exchanging with our environment. And so if we find ourselves in an environment that we feel doesn't resonate with us anymore, then we will naturally, our whole system will try to adapt to that environment, because it's too uncomfortable functioning in an environment for too long time in which you have such a strong dissonance to. And if I would have had that a little bit before me, that fact of, okay, I am responsible, and that coming back to what I said before, that sense of just floating around, going with the flow, I was too caught up in that. And I think that that is really one of the spiritual myths that I would like to just put in the garbage, because it doesn't really lead you anywhere. That fact of just going with the wind, going with the flow, not taking responsibility for who you are, for what you want in your life, and for how you're gonna get there. Life is really about understanding how the energies of this plane works, and moving with that to arrive to a point where you feel satisfied and where you can contribute with what you're here to do. So if you find yourself in a situation you don't know what to do, you feel completely detached from everything around you, you feel that you're not in the situation where you want to be, perhaps your friends, your family, your everyday situation, your job, whatever it is, you feel like that is not working for you anymore, then you need to make a plan of action to change that. And it doesn't mean that you will succeed in the first way. You will probably fail and try again, but at least you're moving. You're not stuck. And this does not mean not meditating. I love meditation. This is something that I do daily still. But it's not through meditation or intention thinking that you will change your reality. And I really wish that someone would have told me that. And I think that, I don't know if I would have been able to actually connect with that so easily, but because of the fact that I was so afraid of actually taking responsibility, I felt that things should just happen by themselves if I changed inside. But I didn't understand that our conditionings are so strong. So when you have a shift inside, that needs to show up in your behavior, in how you present yourself, in what you do, in how you walk into a room, in how you are. Like, you need to become that. You cannot just feel that inside of you. Everything around you need to change in order for situations to change around you. So the key here is that life is not happening to you. It's not random things that is just occurring to you that you react and respond to, but life is emanating from you. The way you behave, the way you act, the way you feel, the way you think. But I was very caught up in the way that I was thinking and in the way that I was feeling, and I completely left out the fact of how I was behaving and acting in the world. And so I actually spent, I think, 6 months just sitting in my apartment and feeling like an alien and feeling quite frustrated and desperate because I had no idea of what I should do and where I should go and where I could put everything that I had gone through. And it took me so long time because I was really trying to manifest something from being just static, from not acting. And so that is really the key ingredient that I wish that someone would have told me. And that also allows us to actually get our feet on the ground and not just be caught up in this woozy cloud of spirituality, where I see that many people also get stuck. And they get stuck because the fear of responsibility and the fear of actually doing something about their situation and taking their lives in their own hands and realizing that life emanates from them. And I was also caught up in that fear. And I think that only when we take that kind of responsibility for ourselves, we have the feet in the ground. We become like a tree with strong and solid roots because we accept and that to take on responsibility onto ourselves. We accept that everything is something that comes from us. We cannot blame others anymore. We cannot blame the world anymore. We need to take that kind of responsibility, and that's when we get the roots really deep into the soil, and from that the tree that we are can really get the branches up high up in the sky. Without that, we're just like a cloud, just moving with the wind without any kind of sense of self either. So this is really what I wanted to give you today, and I hope that that is helpful. And I really think that spirituality, personal growth is really something extremely practical. Yes, it can be sensing the energies. Yes, it can be feeling that we are not from this place. Yes, it can be many things, and I know because I've been through that. But we never really take the next step if we don't put our feet on the ground and take that responsibility and empower ourselves with the knowing that we can create whatever we want, and we can gain that sense of freedom. We can arrive to that sense of freedom, to that sense of enlightenment, if we start acting towards that, if we take that responsibility. So freedom equals responsibility. I'm sorry to say that for those who are still in the phase that I was in, but discipline equals freedom. Because only when we understand that this is a dream and we are responsible for it, for ourselves, and for everything in our life, only then we can reach a level of freedom. And with that said, I will greet you because it is really hot and I need to get home to get a shower. I wish for you to continue to act upon your dreams, to dream your dreams, to act upon your dreams, and to take responsibility and arrive to the freedom that we are all longing for.